Rex, I want to start with you on just your basic reaction to hearing, like Adam said, unless he has a change of heart, he's not showing up.
No, and I think, you know what, if you're Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, he shows up before the deadline, then you'll be like, okay, we'll take you back and all that. Nobody's denying the fact this guy's a heck of a football player. But you know what? If he doesn't, who cares? See you later. The reaction at Pittsburgh, half the guys in the locker room don't want this cat in there. I promise you that. And Mike Tomlin could say, you know what? See you later. Hey, our $47 million one good enough for you, or $14.5 this year? You know what the most important thing is to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Is not LeVeon Bell. It's the team. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers team. Right now, guess what? It's kind of unified, this team, and they're playing fantastic right now. So see you later, LeVeon Bell.
Yeah, I think LeVeon Bell messed with the wrong organization.
Oh, we said that from day one.
Steelers. And you hear Mike Tomlin come out and say, hey, listen, we need volunteers, not hostages. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are bigger than any one player, always have been, probably always will be. And then, you know, as a player, you know, when those offensive linemen come out and pop off, when they come out and say what they really feel, it leads me to believe right away that this is not necessarily the most respected guy in the locker room. Sometimes as a teammate, you think a guy is a great player, but he's not always a great teammate. I don't know. I can't speak to that, but I know that that is true in my career. And so I'm not surprised. I agree he's a great player, but he misjudged the situation that he was in my opinion.
Well, my first reaction was, who was his agent, Sean Gilbert? Because that was the only guy I could remember that held out for a whole season and then turned around and got the deal that he wanted a year later. But I feel like the way that they're handling it now is the way they should have handled it at the beginning of training camp. He's not here, we move on. You know, but I think what happened was early on in the season, they didn't quite know what they had in James Conner. They didn't really know. They knew what they had in LeVeon Bell, and of course they want him, and they feel like he was a big piece of the puzzle to get them, you know, back to an AFC championship game and ultimately to the Super Bowl. But now, as this thing has progressed, this James Conner kid just seems to continue to get better. And in this league, it's all about production. Up to this point, James Conner has 11 touchdowns as compared to 5 that LeVeon Bell had at the same point last year. So this team right now is comfortable with James Conner. And so everybody's like, hey, LeVeon's not here, we're going to move on. But that's what they should have done from the jump. And I think all of this saga, they could have done without it to this point.
You know, I have to give a shout out and commend head coach Mike Tomlin for everything that he's went through. To be able, the word you used was unified, coach. For him to be able to bring this team back with everything that was said in the offseason, earlier in the season when the guys were sounding off. This team was a little in disarray. They didn't find themselves early in the season, but they were able to come back around. Thursday night, that was the Pittsburgh Steelers team that everybody thought they would be starting out the beginning of the season. So you will have to give love to James Conner. You will have to give love to the defense. Coach, you said it. I'm going to say it again. Unified, this Pittsburgh Steelers have found themselves. So you're talking about goodbye LeVeon Bell. It's unfortunate that a great player like LeVeon Bell will not be playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you say the show must still go on. The Pittsburgh Steelers has found themselves. They found their team. They're going to be a hard team to beat.
Randy, you know who else loves James Conner? The entire community. Why? He played at the University of Pittsburgh. He's their guy.
Right.
You know, and it's just like you're a special guy. Rocky Blair, you know, Blair was a special guy. That community identified with him. They identify with this guy right here. And you know what? If Le'Veon Bell does come back, I wouldn't be surprised if they boo the heck out of him, because this Steeler nation, they've embraced James Conner, and they've also embraced the fact that, you know what, Le'Veon, you thought you were too big for this team? I don't care. Wear your jerseys. I don't see them.
It's the Steel City, right? Steel City. You know, they're identified by toughness, and that's exactly what James Conner showed him through his fight, the things that he's going through physically, you know, and emotionally, trying to fight his way back to being a football player and being a productive player and teammate. That's what they gravitate towards. So I think you're right about the booing. They got a guy who was appreciative of what he has, like really appreciative, and they got a guy who they feel like right now it's not about the team. It's not about the Pittsburgh organization. They don't like that.
Well, and James has been so easy to embrace, not only because of what he's been through, but he's literally been better than Le'Veon Bell, who was in the conversation for best running back in the league last year through 9 games. Conner, 11 touchdowns at this point. Last year, Bell, only 5. He's got more yards for scrimmage. And the thing that everybody gave Le'Veon Bell so much credit for, rightly so, is his hands, being able to catch the ball. James Conner has more receiving yards too. So I'm not saying they wouldn't embrace him either way. It's just a whole lot easier to embrace when he's winning you games like this.
Production makes it a whole
Yes,
lot
it
better.
does.
I got a negative though. That haircut. That haircut is gonna.
You know what?
But you have no hair. Matthew,
Yeah,
we're
jealous.
Yes,
He
he
can
is
grow his
jealous.
hair.
If I can make fun of your haircut.
That is jealousy. Really quick. Can they win a Super Bowl without Le'Veon Bell this
Yes.
year?
Yes.
This year.
Yes.
Anybody pick him to win the Super Bowl?
That's later in the show. We're gonna talk about
Oh, okay. That's called a tease.